Oxford. I need your help. I fear what may happen at my garden party. Tommy leaned closer. Tuppence read on. She believes her late husband's enemies will be present, Tuppence explained. She writes of prowlers in the grounds, threatening letters, disturbing calls. Tommy frowned. She expects trouble? Tuppence nodded. She wants us there, quietly, as guests. Tommy considered the words. Wealthy widows don't imagine danger for nothing. If she asks, she knows more than she says. Tuppence agreed. She writes of scandal. She fears gossip will break before truth. She wants protection without attention. Tommy tapped the table. Undercover, then? Yes, Tuppence replied. She suggests we pose as old family friends. No one must suspect. Tommy sighed. Another game of masks. Tuppence gave a quick smile. Exactly what you enjoy, isn't it? He ignored the tease. What do you make of this? Any hint of her true fear? Tuppence shook her head. She keeps it vague. That is what makes it serious. Something presses on her, but she dares not write it down. Tommy leaned back. Which means she suspects her guests. Tuppence folded the letter again. Anonymous letters, prowlers, threats. She believes one of them wants more than her company. Tommy's jaw tightened. Then we must be there. Watch. Listen. Wait until the truth reveals itself. Tuppence stood. I shall pack. Tommy stopped her with one more question. Do you think she is right? Could danger strike at a garden party? Tuppence paused. Danger strikes anywhere, she said quietly. And when old grievances gather, even flowers cannot hide poison. Tommy looked at the letter again. He read the final lines. I require your presence. My fears cannot be ignored. Silence filled the room. Each of them thought of past cases, faces hiding lies, smiles masking hate. Finally, Tommy folded the paper. We accept. Tuppence nodded. Yes. But remember, we are guests first, detectives second. To see truth, we must look like we belong. Tommy forced a smile. And eat cucumber sandwiches with a straight face. She laughed softly. Then her voice dropped. Tommy. She enclosed a list. She handed him the second sheet. Names filled the page. Beside each name, Lady Fairchild's notes. Radnor, Dartmouth, Shaw, Ainsworth, Peaton, Winters, James. Each name linked with suspicion. Each name tied to grievance. Tommy read the list aloud. Tuppence listened. Her face grew tense with each note. Every guest had reason to resent. Every guest carried old wounds. Every guest might act. Tommy set the paper down. He looked at Tuppence. His voice dropped. This isn't a garden party. It's a battlefield waiting to open. The guest list shows motives everywhere. Guests arrive with heavy eyes. The gravel crunched under wheels. Carriages stopped. Motors slowed. Guests stepped out with polished manners and guarded faces. Lady Fairchild stood at the terrace. Her smile was fixed. Her eyes were sharp. She greeted each arrival with measured warmth. Tommy and Tuppence moved among the crowd. They kept to their role as family friends. They nodded, smiled, and observed. Every detail mattered. Colonel Radnor appeared first, tall, stiff, shoulders squared. His gloves clung tight to his hands. He kept adjusting them, again and again. Tommy watched closely. Radnor's eyes darted. He avoided Lady Fairchild's gaze. He muttered something under his breath. Uneasy man, Tommy whispered. Tuppence agreed. Gloves in warm weather. That tells its own tale. Nearby, Miss Vivian Shaw stood alone. She pretended interest in the flower arrangements. Her eyes, however, kept shifting. They lingered on the glass cabinet inside. Tommy followed her gaze. Inside, the cabinet rested silver ornaments. Crystal gleamed under the lights. Family treasures displayed like bait. Shaw's face betrayed more than admiration. There was hunger there. There was memory. Tuppence noted her fingers tightening on her handbag. Dismissed secretary. Tuppence murmured. Dismissed but not detached. She still carries old ties. Mr. Felix Dartmouth entered next. He smiled broadly. He bowed low before Lady Fairchild. He laughed too easily. Guests welcomed him with polite replies, yet behind his polished charm lay calculation. His eyes never rested. They measured people. They weighed chances. Dartmouth spotted Tommy and approached. "Old friends of the family, are you?" Tommy nodded calmly. "Yes, old acquaintances." Dartmouth studied them both. A smile curled at the edge of his mouth. "Then we shall be allies," he said smoothly. "But every ally has limits." Tuppence met his eyes. Her silence answered more than words. Dartmouth chuckled and moved away. Around the garden, conversations grew. Laughter rang but did not last. Every group spoke in low tones. Every smile covered something else. Mrs. Dorothy Petton walked stiffly. Her expression was stern. She ignored others except to glare at James Fairchild. Her dislike was clear. The Winters couple stood apart. They whispered behind fans. Their faces were pale. Their hands clutched nervously. Lady Fairchild kept moving, greeting each guest. Her posture carried control, but her hands trembled slightly. She feared what might unfold. Tommy leaned closer to Tuppence. "Notice the eyes," he whispered. "Everyone scans the house, not the people." Tuppence nodded. She glanced, again at Colonel Radnor, then at Shaw, then at Dartmouth, each one restless, each one watching, and then she saw it. A guest on the edge of the crowd, his watch in hand, checking the time again. Not once, not twice, over and over. His lips moved as if counting. Tuppence narrowed her eyes. "Someone is timing this," she whispered. "Not waiting. Timing." Tuppence notes someone timing the crowd. Conversations cut too sharp. Tommy drifted near the fountain. Radnor stood close to another guest. His voice was low. His hands tugged at his gloves again. "The debt must be cleared," Radnor muttered. "I will not wait longer." The other man coughed nervously. "Circumstances have changed. You know that." Radnor's jaw clenched. "This is no game." Tommy pretended to admire the stonework. His ear caught every word. The men fell silent when they saw him. They stepped apart quickly. Radnor's face flushed. He stared at the water. Tommy walked on. His mind turned over the words. Debt, circumstances, demands. Each one hinted at old pressure. Across the terrace, Tuppence moved with grace. She paused near the French doors. Through the glass, she saw the cabinet. Silver, jewels, crystal, all displayed inside. Miss Vivian Shaw lingered close, her eyes fixed on the cabinet lock. She stepped closer, then away. Her hand brushed her handbag again. Tuppence spoke lightly. "Lovely glasswork, isn't it?" Shaw startled. Her lips tightened. "Yes, exquisite. I was only admiring." Her tone was sharp. Her knuckles white around the cup she held. Tuppence gave a faint smile. "Family treasures hold history. Some know their value better than others." Shaw's face stiffened. She turned aside. Tuppence noted the tension. Near the shrubbery, the Winters couple bent low. Mr. Winters clutched a folded sheet. Mrs. Winters whispered urgently. Her hand trembled as she touched the page. They glanced around. They saw no one, watching. Then Mrs. Winters stuffed the paper into her handbag. Their faces were pale. Tommy joined Tuppence again. She nodded toward the Winters. "They hide something," she murmured. Tommy agreed. "They whisper like conspirators. Documents, perhaps?" They both turned as Lady Fairchild approached. Her face was composed, but her voice carried strain. "You see them," she said quietly. "You see how they circle me, each one with a grievance, each one with a claim." Tommy kept his voice low. "You fear more than scandal." Lady Fairchild's hand trembled on her fan. "Someone wants me broken. Perhaps worse." Tuppence touched her arm gently. "We are here. We see what others miss." Lady Fairchild met her eyes. "Then see quickly. Danger is near." She turned away to greet another guest. Her smile returned. but her shoulders stiffened as she walked. She carried fear beneath silk. Tommy scanned the terrace again. Radnor tense, Shaw restless, Winters whispering, Dartmouth circling. He drew a sharp breath. Every face holds its secret. Tuppence nodded. And one secret is ready to strike. From the corner of her eye, Tuppence saw movement. A shadow glided near the house. The door to the study opened. A figure slipped inside without a sound. A faint figure slips into the study. A treasure disappears. Gasps cut through the terrace. Lady Fairchild's hand froze mid-gesture. Her eyes locked on the display table. The black velvet cushion lay empty. The diamond necklace was gone. Only smaller trinkets remained. Crystal still gleamed. Silver still shone, but the necklace had vanished. "Impossible," Lady Fairchild whispered. Her voice steadied. "It was here minutes ago." Guests crowded forward. Some craned necks. Others whispered accusations. A servant dropped a tray. "Who was near this room?" someone demanded. "All of us," another replied. The conservatory had been open. Everyone had walked by. Tommy stepped closer. He scanned the table. The velvet showed no tear. The glass lock was unbroken. This was deliberate, he muttered. Quick hands. Clear eyes. Tuppence glanced at the guests, faces twisted in alarm and suspicion. Mrs. Peyton pointed a finger. The servants were near the table. Who else could touch it? One maid shook her head. Tears gathered in her eyes. Tommy interrupted firmly. "Accusations prove nothing. The thief may be anyone here." He looked down. Marks on the floor caught his attention. Muddy prints. Clear, heavy steps. They led out toward the lawn. The trail pointed to the hedge maze. Guests followed in clusters. Voices rose. Speculation spread fast. "Too bold," Tuppence whispered. She crouched near the prints. Her eyes narrowed. "They are too clear. Too neat." She touched the edge of one step. "The mud is fresh. Conveniently fresh. Almost placed for us to find." Tommy nodded grimly. A thief who wants to be followed, or a thief who plants a trail. Dartmouth gave a sharp laugh. "Well, detectives, chase your prints. You may find more mud than jewels." His smirk cut through the crowd. Shaw glared at him. Lady Fairchild lifted her chin. Her voice carried. "No one leaves until this is explained. A theft under my roof will not pass." Guests shifted uneasily. Some protested. Some went silent. Everyone eyed each other. Tommy leaned close to Tuppence. "Notice the timing," he whispered. "Taken just before dinner. Enough to stir chaos." Tuppence agreed softly. Distraction. Perfect distraction. Her eyes swept the crowd again. She saw Radnor near the fountain, his face pale. His gloves were off now. His hands twitched. Red marks lined the skin. Scratches. Fresh scratches. Tuppence whispered low. "Scratches on a soldier's hands. What story do they tell?" Tommy answered quietly. "Either struggle or guilt." Lady Fairchild's voice echoed again. "Order will return, but until it does, no one is safe." Her words hung in the air. Fear deepened the silence. Colonel Radnor hides scratched hands, whispers in the hedges. The footprints dragged them forward. Muddy marks pointed through the maze gate. Guests lingered at the terrace, afraid to follow. Tommy and Tuppence stepped inside alone. The hedges towered. The prints bent left, then right, each step clear at first, then fainter. Tuppence crouched. The trail weakens. Tommy checked the ground. Dry gravel now, no mud left. They walked slower. The prints vanished altogether. Tommy frowned. Planned well. This thief knows the paths. Tuppence pressed a finger to her lips. She pointed ahead. Two voices carried faintly through the green walls. The sound sharpened as they crept closer. Radnor's voice first. "This plan is reckless. We invite discovery." A second voice answered. "Ainsworth. Distraction is useful. The necklace means nothing. The papers mean everything." Radnor hissed. Whose idea was this mission? Ainsworth replied firmly. It began before tonight. Lady Fairchild suspects. If she finds those files, we all suffer. Tommy froze. He caught Tuppence's eyes. Both knew this was bigger than Jules. Radnor lowered his tone. She fears enemies. She doesn't know the half. Ainsworth's reply carried anger. Then she will learn the truth soon enough. The voices shifted farther away. Steps moved deeper into the maze. Tommy and Tuppence stayed still. Leaves rustled. Then silence returned. Tuppence whispered. They never cared for the necklace. Tommy agreed. It was only bait. The real hunt is for documents. They traced the path again. Nothing but clean gravel. The thief had erased his trail. The prints ended like a stage trick. Professional, Tommy muttered. Or desperate, Tuppence said. Her hand brushed the hedge. She felt thorns snag a thread of fabric. She pulled it free. Dark cloth, blue silk. She held it out. Vivian Shaw wore navy tonight. Tommy pocketed the scrap. Could be hers. Could be planted. We must not rush. Tuppence nodded. Her eyes stayed sharp. They stepped back toward the garden. The maze felt empty now, but the echoes of the words stayed heavy. Mission, documents, fear. Tuppence's voice was low. Everyone here plays another game. The necklace only opened the curtain. Tommy's face tightened. And the curtain hides sharper blades. They left the maze slowly. The terrace came into view again. Guests still muttered in tense groups. Lady Fairchild tried to calm them. Tommy stopped suddenly. A sharp sound cut the air. High, piercing, terrifying. A scream. It came from the garden, not far from the rose arbor. Every guest turned. Every face froze. A scream erupts from the garden. A scholar falls. The scream drew them all near. Tommy pushed through the guests. Tuppence followed at his side. They reached the rose arbor. Professor Ainsworth lay on the ground. His body jerked in spasms. Foam bubbled at his lips. His hands clawed at the soil. Lady Fairchild gasped. Help him quickly. Servants rushed forward. One guest bent close, then recoiled. Poison, the man whispered. The smell was sharp. Tommy crouched near. He sniffed the air carefully. A watering can lay tipped. The roses shimmered with wet drops. The liquid reeked of bitter almonds. Cyanide. Tuppence pulled Tommy back. Don't touch. Too dangerous. Tommy nodded. The guests pressed closer. Panic spread fast. Mrs. Peyton clutched her daughter's arm. Enough! We must leave this place. Voices rose in fear. Lady Fairchild raised her hand. No one leaves until this is explained. Her tone was firm, but her face was pale. Dr. Henderson arrived with speed. He knelt beside Ainsworth, his hands steady, eyes sharp. But he may live. He opened his case. Small vials, glass tubes. He forced a liquid between Ainsworth's lips. The convulsions slowed. The professor groaned weakly. His chest still rose and fell. Dr. Henderson wiped his hands. He will survive for now. Guests murmured in shock. Some stepped back. Others muttered of curses and enemies. One man demanded guards. Tommy raised his voice. This was not chance. Someone laced the can. Tuppence agreed. And someone meant the roses to hide it. Radnor spoke suddenly. Then the target was anyone here. We all walked the garden. His words were defensive. His eyes betrayed unease. Mrs. Winters whispered to her husband. Her lips moved fast. Her hands shook against his sleeve. They avoided every glance. Lady Fairchild closed her eyes briefly. My late husband's sins returned to punish me. Her words fell heavy. Fear touched even the boldest guests. Tommy lowered his tone. One attack means another may come. Tuppence answered quietly. And the necklace was never the goal. Dr. Henderson looked up. The professor must rest. Keep him watched. Keep him guarded. 2 servants carried Ainsworth away, his body limp but breathing. Guests scattered into groups. Some still demanded to leave. Others whispered theories. All eyes turned suspicious. Tuppence scanned the edges. She caught movement beyond the shrubs. Two figures leaned close together, voices too low to catch. She focused harder. The faces came clear. Vivian Shaw's lips moved fast. Felix Dartmouth bent his ear to hers. They stepped back quickly, but their closeness was clear. Too close for strangers. Too close for innocence. Vivian Shaw seen whispering with Dartmouth. Secrets crawl out. James Fairchild pulled Tommy aside. His face was tense. His eyes darted toward the hall. He spoke in a low rush. There are papers, James whispered. Hidden papers my uncle left behind. Tommy stiffened. What kind of papers? James swallowed hard. Documents. Records of smuggling, debts, and bribery. His hands clenched. They prove everything. He ruined men and cheated partners, and now they want them. Tommy's jaw tightened. So the necklace, the poisoning, all distractions. James nodded quickly. Yes, the real prize is the evidence. Whoever holds it controls every name tied to him. Tuppence joined them, her voice calm. And where are these papers, James? He hesitated. In the study. At least, that's what I was told. But I fear they are no longer safe. Tommy leaned in. Why? James glanced nervously. Because I heard noises. Someone was already searching. I found the door ajar when no one should have been inside. His breath shook. If those papers vanish, the truth dies with them. Lady Fairchild approached quietly. Her presence silenced James, but her eyes revealed she had heard. She lowered her voice. My husband was not the man the world believed. He dealt in artifacts. He moved treasures illegally. He bribed officials. Her lips trembled. I warned him it would destroy us. Now the past claws back. Tuppence touched her arm gently. Better truth than silence. Lies rot deeper. Lady Fairchild shook her head. Truth also kills. You see how quickly it strikes. Tommy kept his gaze firm. We must know where the papers are. Without them, suspicion devours us all. James whispered again. Search the drawers of the study. He always hid things close at hand. They moved as a group. Through the hall, into the panelled room. The air hung still. The smell of ink and polish lingered. Tommy crossed to the desk. He pulled open a drawer. Neatly stacked stationery. Seals, wax, blank paper. Tuppence moved to the cabinet. She opened another drawer. Receipts, ledgers, old correspondence. But no incriminating files. James hurried to another side. This one, he urged. His hands tugged at the bottom drawer. The lock had been forced. The wood splintered. The handle bent. The drawer half open. Papers scattered loosely inside. Tommy lifted a torn folder. Empty. The contents gone. Whoever searched had found what they wanted. Tuppence whispered coldly, We are too late. James turned pale. His shoulders sagged. Lady Fairchild pressed her hand to her chest. The past leaves nothing but ruin. Her voice broke slightly. They will bleed me with those pages. Tommy's eyes swept the floor. Marks of hurried hands. Papers thrown aside. A thief with little time. He closed the broken drawer, his voice steady. Someone has them now, and they will use them. Drawers found rifled again. Bitterness runs deeper. Tuppence closed the study door. Shaw stood by the desk. Her hand rested on the broken drawer. Her face was set hard. You were near here earlier, Tuppence said. Shaw flinched. She turned sharply. You think I broke it open? Tuppence's tone stayed calm. I think you want something inside. Something beyond money. Shaw's lips pressed tight. Her eyes narrowed. I was his secretary, Shaw said coldly. I kept his files, wrote his letters, handled every deal. Do you imagine I gained nothing? Her voice cracked slightly. I gave him years of loyalty. Tuppence stepped closer. Loyalty can turn bitter. Why linger near Lady Fairchild's jewels? Why search her husband's desk? Shaw's fists clenched. Her shoulders stiffened. Because she took everything from me, Shaw hissed. She dismissed me without cause. She paraded herself as the perfect wife while I... She stopped. Her breath shook. Tuppence's eyes stayed sharp. You cared for him. More than secretary. More than duty. Shaw's face flushed. Her silence confirmed the truth. He trusted me, Shaw said at last. He spoke to me, confided in me. She never knew how much. She pretended he was faithful, but I knew better. Her voice dropped. I loved him. Tuppence let the words hang. Shaw's hands trembled. Her bitterness poured out. I watched her steal him every day. His house, his name, his fortune. And then she cast me off as if I were dirt. So your anger runs deeper than business, Tuppence said. It is not ledgers you chase. It is memory. It is jealousy. Shaw's eyes glistened. Wouldn't you fight for what was stolen from you? Tuppence answered quietly. Grief blinds, but bitterness poisons the heart, and poisoned hearts strike reckless blows. Shaw laughed bitterly. Perhaps I already have. The words chilled the air. Tuppence kept her gaze steady. You are not alone in grievance, but grief turned into rivalry is the most dangerous motive of all. Shaw's jaw set. You will tell her, won't you? You will let her know he was never hers alone. Tuppence shook her head. I will tell only what matters to truth. But no, this murder will never prove love. Shaw turned away. Her breath came heavy. Her fingers traced the edge of the desk. Her silence admitted more than words. Tuppence moved to the door. Her hand touched the handle. Something held her still. She felt eyes beyond the panel. A faint creak. Shadows stirred outside. Someone stood listening, silent, waiting. Tuppence's heart tightened. Every word had been overheard. Every secret spilled was no longer safe. Danger grew sharper with each confession. A shadow listens outside the study door. Conspirators gather. The fountain trickled softly. Tuppence stood behind the stone edge. She kept low, hidden by vines. Voices carried in sharp tones. Vivian Shaw spoke first. You promised me those papers. You said they would be mine. Her words cut through the night air. Felix Dartmouth answered. I said I would help you. Not that I would hand them over. Do not twist my words. Shaw's reply was bitter. You lied. You took them for yourself. Her hands slapped the stone edge. Dartmouth laughed dryly. You still think this is about love or pride? Number. It is about power. Whoever holds those papers owns everyone tied to Fairchild's crimes. Shaw's face burned. And you think that should be you? I am cleverer than the rest, Dartmouth said. Radnor panics. Winters hide. Ainsworth bleeds. But I Shaw cut him off. You? You betray all sides. You use every hand to cover your own greed. Their voices rose. Shaw's tone turned fierce. You cannot play me, Felix. I knew him better than you. He trusted me with his secrets. If the papers are lost, I can still ruin you. Dartmouth's smile faltered. Before he could answer, a firm voice broke in. Mrs. Petton stepped forward. Her glare cut them both down. Enough. I have heard enough. Shaw stepped back. You listen where you should not. Mrs. Petton's face flushed with anger. I listen because I lost everything to your games. My daughter's name dragged in mud. Our family broken. You will not speak of loyalty when you know only betrayal. Dartmouth raised his hands mockingly. Madam, we are all victims here. Even you. Her eyes blazed. Do not insult me. You poisoned lives before tonight. Shaw hissed. He betrayed me. He used me. If blame is cast it on him. She jabbed a finger toward Dartmouth. He sneered back. And she knew every fraud Fairchild committed. She wrote the letters. She signed the orders. Without her hand, none of it would stand. Mrs. Petton's face stiffened. Her voice shook. So both of you are guilty. The tension cut sharp. Accusations tangled like ropes. Every word tied another knot. Tuppence listened, her pulse quick. She knew truth hid inside lies, but which lies covered the deepest wound? She stepped back quietly, then froze. Across the lawn, a faint glow rose, orange against the night. She shifted for a clearer view. Her eyes narrowed. 2 figures knelt behind the hedge. Flame lit their pale faces. The Winters couple crouched close. A sheet of paper burned in their hands. Ash scattered in the wind. They whispered frantically. They fed the fire another scrap, and another. Winters couple spotted burning a letter. A letter arrives. The party had thinned to uneasy circles. Whispers carried through the hall. Servants moved stiffly, afraid of every glance. Lady Fairchild sat in her drawing-room, tense. A knock came at the door. No voice followed. Only the sound of paper sliding across the floor. Tuppence stepped forward. She picked up the envelope. Plain. White. No mark on the front. She handed it to Lady Fairchild. Her hand shook slightly. Lady Fairchild broke the seal. Her eyes darted over the lines. Her lips parted. She passed it to Tommy without a word. The letter was short. Colonel Radnor stole the necklace. He hides it still. Search him before more is lost. Tommy frowned. He read it twice. Tuppence studied the writing. Block letters. No signature. She shook her head. Too clean. Too simple. Lady Fairchild clutched her fan. Radnor? Could it be true? Tommy's reply was firm. It is too neat. Someone wants us to think so. Tuppence leaned closer. Look at the timing. The theft unsettled the party. Then the poisoning spread panic. Now this letter appears. Each move pushes suspicion in a chosen direction. Tommy nodded slowly. A false trail. Lady Fairchild's voice trembled. But if I do nothing, the guests will believe it. The whispers already grow. Tommy kept his tone steady. Better caution than haste. Innocent or guilty, Radnor gains an enemy tonight. They stepped into the hall again. Guests stood scattered. Eyes followed them. Suspicion buzzed like a swarm. Mrs. Peaton called out first. Have you news? Do you know who dared this theft? Tommy ignored the question. His eyes swept the room. Radnor was absent. His chair stood empty. His glass remained untouched. He had slipped away, unnoticed. Tuppence whispered. He avoids the crowd, either guilty or aware of the trap. Tommy nodded. Too perfect. I distrust perfection. Lady Fairchild lowered her gaze. Her voice cracked faintly. Every letter carries a wound. Every wound deeper than the last. How much more must I endure? Tommy's hand rested briefly on hers. Endurance is the test of truth. Lies strike quickly. Truth survives longer. She gave a weary nod. Her shoulders sagged. Suddenly, the doors flung open. Heavy steps echoed inside. Radnor strode in, face flushed. His voice thundered. Enough! I hear the whispers. I see the stares. You accuse me without cause. He slammed his fist on the table. His gloves dropped to the floor. Every guest turned toward him. His eyes burned with fury. His chest heaved with rage. He pointed a finger at Lady Fairchild. You will not brand me a thief. Radnor bursts in, furious at false charges. Plants hide secrets. Tommy opened the greenhouse door. The air was damp. Shelves lined with pots. Tools scattered along a bench. Tuppence followed close. She scanned each corner. Her hand brushed the soil trays. Her eyes stayed sharp. Why here? She whispered. Tommy pointed to the far shelf. Because every thief needs hiding space, and few look beyond flowers. They searched in silence. Tommy lifted a clay pot. Beneath it lay a small key. He held it up. Tuppence's brows rose. A desk key? Tommy nodded. Or a cabinet. One used to hide more than seeds. They kept searching. Tuppence pulled open a wooden crate. Inside lay folded pages. She spread them quickly. Invoices, shipping notes, names scribbled in margins, artifacts, roots, sums of money, proof of smuggling, proof of bribery. Tuppence whispered low. These are what they want. The necklace was only noise. This is the truth, Tommy agreed, and truth brings sharper claws than jewels. The greenhouse door creaked. Both froze. Two figures slipped inside, Radnor and Mr. Winters. They did not see Tommy or Tuppence at first. Their voices carried. "You promised the papers," Winters hissed. Radnor clenched his fists. "I promised nothing. You demanded. I owe you nothing." Winters pulled a folded sheet from his pocket. "I lost everything to him. You think I will stop now?" Radnor grabbed his arm. "You play with fire. The necklace was a distraction. These papers are death." Winters shook him off, his face pale, his voice sharp. "Then we take them tonight. No more waiting. No more games." Tommy and Tuppence exchanged glances. Every word confirmed it. The jewels had been bait. Tuppence stepped forward. "Gentlemen, you chose the wrong place for secrets." Radnor stiffened. Winters swore under his breath. Tommy held the papers. These are worth far more than diamonds. They tie you all together. Smuggling, fraud, betrayal." Radnor's voice cracked. "He ruined us all. We only sought survival." Winters snapped back. "Liar. You wanted his empire. You wanted her wealth." Radnor's fists trembled, his voice low. "And you wanted escape. You burned what tied you down. But truth burns slower than paper." The men glared at each other. Each word deepened their guilt. Neither denied the scheme. Lady Fairchild's shadow crossed their thoughts. Her husband's sins weighed on them all. Tommy's voice cut through. "Whatever excuse you give, the necklace meant nothing. It was staged to cover this hunt." The greenhouse grew still. Silence pressed between them. No one moved. Then a faint sound, a step against the floor. Too light for accident, someone stood beyond the plants, eyes hidden in the dark. Tuppence froze. She felt the gaze. Each hair rose at her neck. The secret had one more witness. Someone watches them from the shadows. Glasses switched. The dining hall carried forced calm. Guests sat stiff at the table. Plates moved. Cutlery clinked. No laughter rose. Lady Fairchild lifted her wine glass. Her hand trembled faintly. Tommy's eyes caught the shake. He leaned closer to Tuppence. "She fears every sip," he murmured. Tuppence nodded. "Fear is not baseless. Someone watches each move." Servants poured fresh wine. A tray moved down the table. Hands shifted glasses. One moment too quick. Tuppence stiffened. She saw it. Two glasses placed. One slid, exchanged. The moment passed as if nothing. Lady Fairchild reached for hers. James Fairchild spoke, distracting her. He took the glass instead. He raised it. He drank. A moment of silence. Then his body jolted. He coughed hard. His face drained white. He gripped the table edge. Guests shouted in alarm. "James!" Lady Fairchild cried. She rushed toward him. Chairs scraped loudly. Panic flared again. Dr. Henderson stood quickly. He grabbed James by the arm. He checked his pulse. His eyes grew sharp. "Not much," Henderson said, "but enough." He sniffed the glass. His face darkened. "Poison." Again. He ordered two servants. "Carry him. Keep him upright. He will recover, but not without care." They hurried James out. The room filled with whispers. Guests looked at Lady Fairchild, her face pale, her lips pressed tight. "It was meant for me," she whispered. Her hand clutched the edge of the table. "Not for him. For me." Tommy's jaw hardened. He turned to Tuppence. This was no accident. The exchange was deliberate. Tuppence's eyes swept the table. Every guest avoided her gaze. Some murmured denial. Some stared at their plates. No one met her eyes. Radnor spoke with a low growl. "They want her gone. She holds the house, the fortune, the keys to every debt." His tone carried both warning and excuse. Dartmouth smirked faintly. "Or she holds the papers we all need. Whoever removes her wins the rest." Shaw snapped back. "You speak as if it were you." He only shrugged. Mrs. Peaton rose in anger. How many times must we risk death before you act? Someone here is willing to poison us all." Her voice shook. Her glare cut across the table. Lady Fairchild's hands tightened. "My husband's sins make me target, but now even his kin suffer. How long before another glass finds its mark?" Tommy leaned close to Tuppence, his whisper low. "The pattern is clear. Theft. Distraction. Poison twice. The enemy grows desperate." Tuppence whispered back. "And desperate hands strike faster." Dr. Henderson returned to the doorway, his face grim. He held the glass high. "Confirmed," he said. "Dr. Henderson confirms traces of poison. Accusations explode." The dining hall pulsed with tension. No one ate. No one moved freely. Every glance carried blame. Radnor rose first. His voice shook but carried weight. "You think me thief, poisoner, liar. Yet these papers, these cursed papers, prove only one thing. Debts owed, debts left unpaid. Fairchild ruined me." He held up a folded ledger. Ink stained its edge, numbers scrawled in haste. His eyes glared at Lady Fairchild. "He left me hollow. I demanded justice, not revenge. My hands seek restitution, not jewels." Murmurs spread. Some nodded, others doubted. Dartmouth leaned back in his chair. His smile returned. He tapped the table. "Fine words, but false. You speak of ruin, yet you sought more than balance. You sought the man's fortune. Admit it." Radnor's face burned red. He slammed the ledger down. Dartmouth's tone sharpened. "And while we trade words, let us recall another truth. I hold her papers." Gasps rippled. Shaw stiffened. Her eyes widened. "You stole them," she hissed. Dartmouth smirked. "Yes, from your handbag. You thought yourself clever, Vivian. You were not." His voice cut cruel. "Your loyalty to Fairchild was nothing but vanity. He used you. I used you better." Shaw's fury broke. She rose fast. Her voice cut sharp. "Yes, I helped him. I smuggled artifacts. I carried his letters. I sealed crates with my own hand. His business was mine as well. I will not deny it." Lady Fairchild froze. Her lips trembled. "You confess this openly?" Shaw's glare never softened. "Why not? He is gone. His sins drag us down, but I will not carry them alone. If he is condemned, so am I. Let the truth be known." The room churned with whispers. Each guest reeled. Each guest measured danger. Then Mrs. Peaton stood. Her hand gripped her shawl. Her eyes burned. "I searched the garden. I found this." She raised her hand high. A small vial gleamed, glass half full, liquid dark within. "Poison!" she spat. Hidden among the roses, waiting for another glass. Gasps spread again. Every eye turned fearful. Tommy leaned forward. His tone stayed level. "So, theft, smuggling, debt, poison, each revealed. Yet none admit guilt for all," Tuppence added quietly. "Every piece fits, but not in one hand, unless that hand wears many masks." The room fractured. Radnor shouted. Shaw pointed. Dartmouth laughed cold. Mrs. Peaton cried out, "The truth is clear, one of you would kill us all." The Winters couple trembled. They clung to each other. Suspicion leapt from one to another. Every voice shouted blame, every finger turned outward. No one safe. Lady Fairchild lowered her head. Her voice was faint. "My husband's shadow poisons even the living. None of us escape. All point fingers at each other. One last move." Tommy closed the study door. Tuppence spread the blank sheet on the desk. Her hand moved quickly. She wrote a few short lines. The papers remain hidden. Only one place left. The drawer beneath the cabinet. "Take care. Danger grows." Tommy read the words. He nodded. Simple. Believable. Enough to tempt. Tuppence folded it carefully. They placed it inside a folder. The folder slid into the half-broken drawer. Tommy tapped the edge. "Let's see who cannot resist." They left the study dark, curtains drawn, shadows stretched across the hall. Guests retired to their rooms. Hours passed slowly. The house fell quiet. Only the clock ticked. Every sound carried. Tommy and Tuppence waited nearby, hidden behind the half-open door, their eyes fixed on the study, their patience unbroken. A faint creak at last. The handle turned. The study door inched open. A figure slipped inside. Tommy leaned closer. He kept his breath low. Tuppence's hand tightened on his arm. Both watched silently. The intruder lit no lamp. Hands moved in the dark. The drawer pulled open. The folder lifted. The figure froze. A whisper cut the silence. "We found it." Two shapes bent over the desk. Moonlight slipped through the curtain gap. Faces revealed. Mr. and Mrs. Winters. Their eyes frantic. "Mrs." Winters whispered fast. "At last. With these we are free." Her husband nodded quickly. "Free of debt. Free of blame." Tommy frowned. He whispered to Tuppence. "They think the papers are salvation, not ruin." Tuppence's eyes stayed sharp. Inside, the Winters unfolded the false letter, their expressions twisted. Confusion first, then relief. "It says beneath the cabinet," Mrs. Winters breathed. "Then tomorrow we search again." Her husband grinned faintly. "Yes, we strike before the rest awake." They refolded the paper. They tucked it close. They whispered prayers of escape. They turned for the door. Tommy stepped back into shadow. Tuppence did the same. Their trap had caught its prey. But the hunt was not yet done. The Winters crept into the corridor, their steps quick, their faces pale. They thought themselves unseen. Tommy's whisper was low. "Tomorrow will show their hand. Tonight proves their fear." Tuppence nodded softly. Fear pushes truth out faster than greed. They began to follow. But then it came. A sound behind them, heavy and slow. Footsteps echoed on the floor. Not theirs, not the Winters. Closer. Tommy turned sharply. The hall was dark. The sound moved nearer, measured, deliberate. Tuppence felt her breath catch. "Someone else hunts us," she whispered. Her eyes locked on the shadows. Danger closed in again. Footsteps close in behind them. Truth under pressure. The hall filled once more. Faces pale. Eyes restless. Voices sharp with fear. Tommy and Tuppence stood firm. The Winters couple sat apart. Hands clasped tight. Sweat glistened on their brows. Tommy spoke first. "You searched. You burned letters. You hunted false trails. Enough games. Speak." His voice cut through silence. The Winters trembled. Mrs. Winters broke first. Her voice cracked. "Yes. Yes. We searched. We feared the papers. We feared exposure." Her husband added quickly. "We were blackmailed. Letters came. Demands grew. Money drained. We thought if we found the papers, we could end it." Tommy's eyes narrowed. "End it for yourselves, not for justice." Neither answered. Radnor stood stiffly, his jaw clenched. He raised the ledger again. His voice was harsh. "I too carried blame. He and I worked together. Fairchild promised me profit, promised safety. But when ruin came, he abandoned me. I was left drowning." Tuppence asked sharply. "And you sought revenge?" Radnor's face twisted. "I sought survival. Fraud, yes. But murder, no." He lowered the ledger. His hands shook slightly. His words were heavy. Shaw rose next, her voice thin at first. "I played my part. I wrote the letters. I sealed the crates. I signed the shipments. I helped him smuggle." Her head lifted higher. But not only that. She glanced at Lady Fairchild. Her eyes burned. "I loved him. That was my sin. Jealousy, not greed, chained me to him. When she dismissed me, I hated her. When he ignored me, I hated him. That hate still lives." Gasps spread. Lady Fairchild's face paled. Tuppence spoke coldly. "Jealousy drives reckless hands. A jealous heart poisons quicker than money. Shaw lowered her gaze. Her silence spoke truth. Dartmouth laughed suddenly. The sound rang false. He leaned back in his chair. You all cry guilt, but none see the truth. I played each of you. I twisted every fear. I moved your pieces across the board. Tommy's eyes fixed on him. You admit manipulation. Dartmouth smiled. Of course. Why deny brilliance? Radnor raged. Shaw sulked. Winters panicked. I profited from all. He spread his hands. But murder, number, I prefer others do the dirty work. His smirk lingered, but unease flickered beneath it. Voices rose again. Accusations clashed. Blame shifted in every direction. The room broke into chaos. Tommy raised his voice above them. Enough! The room stilled. All eyes turned to him. He looked at each face. His tone was sharp. Winters confess blackmail. Radnor confesses fraud. Shaw confesses jealousy. Dartmouth confesses deceit. But he paused. His gaze swept the hall slowly. His words fell like stone. One of you still hides more. Gasps filled the silence. Guests looked around in fear. Suspicion sharpened. Every secret felt heavier. Tommy announces one still hides more. Secrets rot the roots. The night bled into morning. The house felt drained. Voices softened to weary tones. Fear no longer shouted. It whispered. Professor Ainsworth stirred in his bed. Doctor. Henderson stood guard, his hands steady, his voice calm. He will live, Henderson said. The poison failed. His strength endures. Relief crossed Lady Fairchild's face. But it was fleeting. Ainsworth's lips moved. He spoke weakly. Smuggling. All true. He used me. I tracked shipments. I signed what he asked. I feared his reach. His eyes closed again. The truth had escaped him. Tommy laid the recovered papers on the table. Pages spread. Each line revealed corruption. Each margin told betrayal. Debts recorded. Bribes listed. Artifacts moved across borders. Names tied to schemes. Tuppence turned the pages slowly. Her voice steady. These papers tie them all. Winters feared them. Radnor owed them. Shaw fed them. Dartmouth twisted them. Petton cursed them. None stood innocent. Lady Fairchild's face hardened. My husband's legacy, lies, greed, and ruin. He left me wealth, stained with rot. And now every guest has torn their mask. Her voice broke faintly. No trust survives his shadow. Tommy closed the folder, his tone sharp. Secrets never bury themselves. They claw their way back. Tonight proved that. Tuppence added quietly. Greed destroys more than fortunes. It poisons hearts. It breaks bonds. No treasure remains when trust is gone. Lady Fairchild lowered her eyes. Her hands trembled. Perhaps I feared the wrong thing. Not scandal, not ruin, but truth itself. Truth is the sharper blade. Her words fell heavy. The room stayed silent. The Winters couple sat broken.